Hello and welcome to another Darktide video. Today I'll be doing something a little bit different. I wanted to, for this video, bridge the gap between two different types of players, which is, your newer player who may not have as much experience and may not understand the systems, and your super tryhard, zealot, full havoc armored, poxbreaker, Joe over there. And try to give you resources to become that super mega Chad. And I feel like there's nothing I can do or say, for that matter, that will improve your gameplay. I think you need to play yourself on a baseline level, like play missions in order to improve your skills. But I can make this process easier by giving you resources and different tips and tricks that might help you. And without further ado, let's get into it. Now, to start us off, I want to begin with some resources that you can use to understand the game's systems more in depth. I think this will be helpful even if you're a newer player or maybe a veteran or anything in between. This guide specifically is masterfully done, and it's like more of a connection of other guides. I'll have it linked in the description. The creator is named Cooley. He's a great guide creator at the very least. That's what I know him for. And it'll show you everything from how your talents work to how your enemies like armor works and every blessing in the game. And I highly recommend that you check him out or check out the guide in the description, because this is a great beginner resource. Now, for the most obvious resource that I can give you is to go onto YouTube and just look up like build guides, because a lot of YouTubers do builds way better than I do personally, which I can admit. And some good YouTubers are like Mr. E, Reginald, and even Tanner, who I believe is very good at the game and, kind of, personality wise crazy, but he still makes really in-depth videos, surprisingly, though he hasn't posted in a minute. And while I'm on the topic of YouTubers, I believe that for most builds that you may see, they're for inspiration and not to get too caught up on building it exactly as they show it, because there are better ways to build your character, but at the end of the day, you want to personalize that character to have fun in the game. And it's more for inspiration and showing you different ways to combine talents to make it effective, which I think is the joy of this game, is just figuring out what works and what doesn't, on top of also the skill gap in this game. So just have fun with it. And finally, for resources, I think you shouldn't write off Discord and Reddit. These two resources are really good. One, to get into the community, even if Discord and Reddit, are dubious when it comes to how welcoming people are. I think Discord is better than Reddit when it comes to joining the community, but Reddit is useful. It actually is the platform that taught me about what crit training is, which, if you don't know, it's just when you crit, initiate a crit, it gives the next few bullets of a normal gun guaranteed critical chance, which some guns have and some guns don't, and it's good to know which ones do. So if you're trying to, build a crit build for Zealot or Hive Scum or something like that. But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't go onto Reddit and I didn't ask, or I didn't look it up on Reddit. So just really leverage every resource you have to learn about this game, because it's very in-depth. Now, this part of the video is going to be catered towards newer players. I'm going to basically explain what major mechanics you need to understand in order to be effective in this game, because a lot of blessings and talents aren't clearly explained. And I'll also show you the most important mechanics that you need to practice or have on your build. Now, the most important system that you should probably know about is brittleness, which is the ability to give an enemy a debuff that lowers the tier of armor they have or damage reduction that they have from their armor. That way you can kill heavier armored targets like crushers and maulers. And rending, which has been nerfed and is less prevalent, but is a buff applied to the player that gives the player bypassing armor ability to every attack that the player gives. The second most important mechanic that you should probably know about is cleave. Now this may seem simple on the surface, which is to say it's just how many enemies you hit in one swing, but it actually is more complicated than that. Having a higher cleave means that you can hit more enemies, sure, but also it increases the damage distribution between all the enemies that you hit. So with higher cleave, you'll do more damage after the first, second, third, and fourth enemy that you hit up until it stops. And it also compares it to the hit mass, which is a very rare mechanic that you might see on different blessings like Brutal Momentum or the Bone Saw, where it ignores or reduces hit mass, which is very important. This increases the effectiveness of cleave and basically allows you to, do a ton of damage in one swing, which I think is very important. Now for the last mechanic I think is really important, which is finesse. Now, finesse may not seem too important on the surface, even though it has pretty obvious, upsides, which is its ability to crit and its headshot multiplier. But on weapon stats, that's different from blessings. It actually is able to increase your attack speed, which in turn increases your DPS. Now, the reason that I highlight these in particular, and the main theme across all these mechanics, is these all affect your damage output. I believe that the best way to make a build is to have the highest damage output mixed and balanced with the best ease of use and mobility, but to always prioritize damage output to the most amount of enemies possible, and having the versatility to do every job that you need to do when, inevitably your team dies. Because let's be real, everyone has those moments where they're all alone and there's like a big fucking chaos spawn about to fuck your shit up. If you have any more questions or you want more explanation on what these mechanics are, I'd recommend again going to Kumi's guide on Steam. It basically will give you everything that you want to know about these mechanics, and hopefully I've been helpful, but thank you for watching.